Hey, hey. Okay, so we're back. I don't know what that was, but they somehow something happened and the stream got disabled. Let me delete the other thing and wait for the room to fill back up. I'll answer any questions before I move on because I want to make sure that that clown isn't in here and I can delete them instantly because that was annoying and unnecessary and somewhat vulgar what that person was saying. So we want to uh, get rid of that person real quick. So we'll let that fill in, and I'll answer any happy to answer any questions that you have while I delete this stream. So all right, just when you thought it was safe. Three. Any questions? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Or yeah, I didn't. I should have modded somebody. I mean, this is just. I did a class. I talked to a classroom earlier today, and the lighting was good. I said, let me just jump on. I really didn't want to. My intention, this whole virus thing, was not to live stream and engage and just sort of catch up on my own reading and stuff. But because there's so many people live streaming, it just felt unnecessary. But the lighting was good here and everything was set up. So uh, no question. I'll look for questions. Anyway, To Sir with Love is a must if you are a collector, and it's at a discount right now if you go to the Screen Archives Entertainment page and then Place in the Heart. They also have. And yes, I'm asking questions. Big Time you can't get. Black Girl you can't get. Sorry. Um, that's why. That's the nature of the channel. If it's available, first off, if you can pay for it, they're not going to let us share it anyway. And I don't want to take the intention is not to just make a video store for black people and not have us support the work. It's to make information available that you would not otherwise find. So you're benefiting from literally 9 decades of collecting and knowledge about black film. We're happy to share it with you on this platform. But, you know, um, I'd say there's a very good chance that you're not going to find it elsewhere, and that's what helps the branding. But yes, if you're asking that question and a quick Google search is not helping you find it, then the answer to the question is you can't. So, but we appreciate your support. But also, if there are things that you think are cool, I certainly appreciate the comments of people suggesting things because it puts me on a path, and you never know what's gonna come from it. So the movie that I posted this morning came as a result of somebody on Twitter asking about a public service announcement. It's like I didn't find exactly what they were looking for, but I found something that I thought was equally interesting, and I put it on the channel this morning. So it's a two-way street, but a lot of these things you're not going to find for a variety of reasons. Um, oh, Juvie needs to fucking go. Let me figure out. Let me do this properly. If I do that, you should be able to watch but not comment, Juvie. 73 accounts, really? All right. For 300 seconds, you can't be a part of this. Why are people like that? I don't even understand. Like, I wouldn't even waste my time trying to troll like that. So, I mean, I guess it's the state of the planet we're on, huh, Juvie? Any attention's good attention. So, if you ask a legitimate question, I'm more than happy to answer it. You're wasting your own time more than me because I'm here. You know what I mean? And I'm open. But if all you want to do is get on here and fart, is a distraction to everybody else. Um, Thank you, HP Green Team. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Gantz. Well, he that person responded by saying 73 accounts, so I don't know. But yeah, it could be a bot thing, but I wouldn't even. Why? Okay. Anyway, yeah, it could be some weird bot thing because I know somebody people aren't. Okay. Well, you're to be ignored. Um, Images, very interesting film. These are things that my our friends at Arrow Academy have released. Arrow is a company in England, and they inked an distribution deal with music video distributors, which is one of the last independent MVD is what they prefer to be called now. Distributors. They have a strong streaming presence on Amazon Prime, and they're one of the last distributors that are independent, which means like regular filmmaker could make a deal with them and get their product in stores all over the country. So they have a deal to release the British Arrow stuff that's not licensed, that's globally licensed here. So Images is a Robert Altman film that he shot in England, which really is mystifying. It's I like these kind of metaphysical caper identity things. Gas, food, lodging, real important. Allison Anders made it, premiered at Sundance at one of the earliest Sundance film festivals, and has been restored for its anniversary. And I think that year, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, 91, 90 was a big year in independent film. It's sort of like when sort of the independent scene and the film school scene kind of moved because of Sundance, and the home video market opened up. You started to see these voices get into more of a mainstream position. So gas, food, lodging holds a great deal of importance, especially for the history of women filmmakers. But also, it's also a really good movie, and it's a very personal film. Um, American Werewolf in London is one of the movies I grew up loving. John Landis is one of my favorite filmmakers of the time, and it's this horror comedy, and they restored it. It has a ton of bonuses on it as well. Landis also has Schlock is on that Arrow label with some bonus features. That's his first film that he did for no money. And what's interesting about that film, it's prior to Animal House, but it's also the first time we see Rick Baker, who would go on to do the makeup in American Werewolf. He won the Academy Award for makeup, I think, 2 years. I think he has two or three Oscars for makeup, and he did the makeup for Thriller video, which is John Landis, and he then went on to do all the makeup for Eddie Murphy's stuff, like the clumps and Orbit and everything like that. So he's considered the genius of movie makeup for his generation, and Schlock is sort of like the point where he and John Landis first worked together. Um, God, um, Limits of Control is I talk about Jim Jarmusch. Well, I talked about him in the class. He's an NYU guy. He's very prolific, but on an undercover level. This movie he did with Isaac DeBancola, and it's a cool flick. Slaughterhouse Five, I've never seen. It's a movie they were trying to make for decades, and they finally did it with George Roy Hill, who is one of my favorite directors. FM, Not the best movie. If you watch it, you say, "Oh, they got that's where WKRP in Cincinnati got its idea from." It's a real interesting movie dealing with music, great soundtrack. I believe that they finally restored the audio soundtrack. The earlier versions had replaced some of the tunes on it, and Cleavon Little uh, is in there as the black DJ, sort of like the black, Venus flytrap guy. But it's an interesting film because almost like they just grafted that plot and turned it into WKRP. Another John Land. This is John Hughes. Weird Science. If you're a teen sex comedy flick, these guys they take old Playboy magazines and stick them into a computer to create their dream date kind of thing. Cruising. William Friedkin, who we talked about earlier with the People versus Paul Crump. This is his crime caper. Al Pacino goes undercover as a gay guy to find out who's killing all the gay people in the nightclubs, and iconic film in a lot of ways. Liquid Sky, another New York independent film from the period. This is really um, getting on my nerves. Can't be real. Like if you're real and you come back with some more crap, prove that you're actually a human being. Is make you mod. Yeah, deal with that. Thanks. We're almost done though. Hired Hand, another Western. This is after Easy Rider, everybody got more opportunities. Dennis Hopper used his opportunity to make the last movie where he notoriously took so much peyote and lost his mind down in Peru and made this movie nobody could market. They spent a lot of money and it won some awards, but it disappeared for decades. And now it's considered a classic because nobody could see it. It came out on Blu-ray, and so did The Hired Hand, which is Peter Fonda's Western. Peter being the son of Ja- uh, sister of Jane Fonda, and his father have done westerns. That was his labor of love. Hired Hand. People ask for this all the time on the channel. Cornbread Earl and Me. I think it's fairly available, and this is the Blu-ray from Olive Films. Thank you, you're doing a good job there. Um, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is still relevant. It's relevant every time there's any kind of oppression. It's about a guy who wakes up one day and finds out everybody's mind has been snatched. This in the 50s, it was McCarthyism. Now, you could remake this. You watch it any day of the week and it would still make sense. Meteor Man. People always ask about this movie. I don't know why people feel like it's so difficult to find. And actually, I put on my Instagram. It's in the other room. There's a Making of the Five Heartbeats that Robert Townsend is selling on his website. Robert Townsend is one of my inspirations. Hollywood Shuffle again, and then Bucket of Blood is a great, fun movie. It's sort of a companion piece to. There was a trilogy Roger Corman made of horror movies, horror comedies. Roger Corman directed Bucket of Blood, and to me, it's sort of like whatever Little Shop of Horrors did. This they took a little more time, had a little more money, more intention, and it's a fun movie to watch. Especially if you're a fan of Little Shop of Horrors, the original Little Shop of Horrors. It's a good one to go grab from Olive. Muhammad Ali, the whole story. It goes up and down. It fluctuates in price, and it's it's the definitive. Really, it was made for Turner, and it's his whole boxing career from the earliest film footage or even before that, because they talked to his brother and all the people that were involved in his early boxing career. From the beginning of his boxing career, from the first fight to the last, all the film footage that exists on Muhammad Ali. It's not every fight in its entirety, but it's a documentary telling the story of his boxing career with all the footage, giving you highlights of each fight. And that's a good one. This one, I was excited about Unidisc, Solar Records, Sound of Los Angeles Records. They in the '80s they contended to be the Los Angeles version of Motown. Took a like and this is a live concert with Lakeside, Dynasty, The Whispers, and Shalimar. So uh, at the time, I don't know if any of this was released, but they filmed it, and years later made a DVD for us. Keepers of the Magic, I picked up cheap. It's an interesting documentary. I watch anything film related. This is, I think it's Victor. Uh, who's the uh, who's the star? I get all these guys with these European names mixed up. Uh, it's not Storaro going around. It's lost my train of thought. It's it could be Storaro going around talking to his peers about how they got into filmmaking. George Wallace, who was on the show, he sells this on at his show and on his website. If you are in need of a laugh, this is his Vegas bootleg, and he'll sign them to you. And go to georgewallace.com or .net and pick that up. Billy Woodbury, Bless Their Little Hearts, and The Pocketbook. There are two films done by at UCLA by. I'm trying to give you some light for it. It's a weird angle. Bless Their Little Hearts. So, some kitchen sink drama written by Charles Burnett and directed by Billy Woodbury. So, if you are a big Killer Sheep fan and you like that style, it's definitely worth checking out. The trailer looked dope. They sent it to me. It's revival. It came out limited theatrical release at Christmas time, but yeah, it just kind of fell through the cracks. But it's on DVD now. It's a basically a staged musical, but shot really well for people that are, and they released it in time for Easter. But it's got Shaka Khan and really great musicians. Don Lewis, Molly Music, Roland Block III, Takia Crystal Kama, Randy Raquel Robinson, Shaka Khan, Harry Lennox, and Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child are all performing in that. It's a Bible story with black folks. A Colored Life. I picked up an Amoeba. It might be harder to find, but it's the first colored cowboy. Everybody knows Herb Jeffries is is the singing black cowboy guy, and it's his story before he passed on. And what he came out in his later years to reveal was that he was actually Italian, but couldn't get roles because he was too considered too ethnic in Hollywood. So he basically passed as black and made all these colored westerns for us. But in reality, he does not identify as African American. He identifies as Italian. So who knew until he was 90 and decided to be in the movie? Um, the Prince Estate is being very completist. There's a siren going by. Did Jeffrey Dahmer or whoever was trolling? That could be the ambulance for him. Um, they put out the CD. I mean, what I like about the stuff, a lot of it, most of us Prince fans had already, but they make it so you want to buy it again. So they put a bonus CD. I mean, this. The sad part is for years this was in everybody's cutout bin. You could get the CD by itself for $1.99 damn near everywhere, but they give you a bonus CD and then the Rave until the year 2000 DVD, which after he passed became a big collector's item. Was going for $60, $70 at one point. So it's nice they did that. And then I think they're also doing, I think almost every month there's a new Prince reissue. Um, I'm gonna get to the question in a second. Tyrell, which is Jason Mitchell. I woke up and saw him in the news. I don't know what's going on with him, but this movie, it's not the most empowering movie, but it's an interesting movie in terms of he's the only black guy on a camping trip, and these guys. I mean, I think they might be devil worshippers he ends up with. It's sort of like it's a strange movie. It played at Sundance. Chuck Berry, Hail Hail Rock and Roll from Shout Factory. This is one of my favorite DVD releases of all time because it had bonus features. Taylor Hackford uh, has like almost as long as the movie bonus features, interviews with Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Bo Diddley in conversation together and all the outtakes. If you're a big music fan like me, you want the Blu-ray to replace. Um, Betty Davis, who was married to Miles Davis for all Betty Mabry, just a wild child, and for years her music was a cult item. She made like three albums in the early '70s that were sort of like groundbreaking funk. Music video distributors put this out, and I don't know if she's actually physically in her current form in the movie. I haven't seen it yet, but they interview her and she gets to tell her own story. Shout Factory also did Car Wash. That one's signed by Antonio Fargas, who will be. I have an interview with him that I'm waiting to cut. Soundbreaking, great PBS documentary about the production of music and why it's important. I would say that and the movie The Defiant Ones, which is the relationship between Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, are some of the best music documentaries I've seen in a while. Speaking of music, Amazing Grace is another one of those films that we never thought we'd get a chance to see. Everybody um, has, if you're black and you live in the United States, there's a copy of Aretha Franklin's Amazing Grace album in your house. I guarantee it. And at the bottom of the album, it says from the movie by Sidney Pollack, and the movie never came out. And the reason why was when they shot it, they had a problem with the sound recording where the film wasn't syncing with the audio. And after a certain point, they said it's beyond, the effort to try to restore it. So before Sidney Pollack died, he gave this guy permission, and the guy worked out a deal with Warner Brothers to buy up all the negative and sound from the shoot. And he spent a decade restoring it using digital technology to resync the audio and the footage. They were ready to premiere it, and then like a week before it was set to premiere, Aretha Franklin said, "Cease and desist. No, nobody puts this out if I'm not getting some money." So after she passed on, he worked out a deal with the estate, and it finally became available. The Blu-ray is very, very difficult to get. You got to do a lot of digging to find the Blu-ray version of this if you go to Amazon, but it does exist. Um, it's not made on demand, or it's not made on demand, but it's a little more difficult to locate. And the same with late orchestration on Blu-ray. It's the only way to get it is on eBay. It's a Russian. You see the writing there. It's in Russian. But Kanye West, when they were still selling records, when he was selling lots and lots of records before streaming, he went to Abbey Road Studios with a full orchestra and had the complete album of Late Registration done with a live orchestra in England, and they filmed it. And this is something I just put on and walk around the house. It's really good. Hang Up. I have seen Hang Up. It's very hard to find. You're right. Tamango was is on Blu-ray now. The the print, pardon me, is pretty good. I mean, considering the age of the film, it's pretty good. And it's whoever the troll was that was saying bed wench or whatever. It's a very interesting film because it deals with the politics behind slavery. Um, there is a slave revolt. They bring a guy Tamango on board the ship, and he refuses to eat. He presents a lot of problems. They whip him. They do all this stuff, and he's adamant. And this is after slavery is illegal, so this is like an illegal slave ship that's transporting Africans. And on the boat is Dorothy Dandridge, who is sort of a bedwench um, slave. She gets to live with Kurt Jurgens above board, and she's like the lover of the captain of the ship. And through the course of the movie, she he mistreats her to the point where she turns coat on him and becomes a part of this rebellion. And it's a very powerful film, very powerful ending. It's for people who love Dorothy Dandridge. This is towards the end of her career. It's one of her last movies. She made it overseas for no money, but it's really it's still, to me, it's one of those movies that is very, very good, very, very strong, important film for a lot of reasons. So that's all I got. But we had to do this in two parts. Thanks for modding and just keeping that under control. I don't understand what that is. Um, put a lot of time in. That was 90 minutes of stuff. So the amount of time, if you watch this whole thing, I just saved you from watching Woo again. Um, Deacon 305, thanks for the love. Um, the main places you go to: Screen Archives Entertainment, for the for Blue To Start With Love, and then you have Shout Factory for Blackberry, but that's also on Amazon. Uh, and everything else is pretty much, and Robert Townsend's website, Five Heartbeats, which is in the other room. I don't want to get up, but it's a really good doc. And then yeah, we're doing this on the fly. As we do more of it, it'll get better. Oh, the colored maid who's always late. Yeah, that was Charles Woods picking that out. We have a whole list of scenes from movies that we want to highlight just to give people tastes of things. So, you might not have 90 minutes to watch a movie, but if we give you like 2 or 3 minutes a day of something, then we keep you going. Um, uh, Devil in the Blue Dress is part of that sale. We put the making of, which nobody has, not even on the, it's not even on the any DVD, where we put on the channel the electronic press kit for Devil in the Blue Dress. But again, we're not trying to take money out of people's pockets. We just want to share information to help people get smarter. The smarter people are the ones that are going to win in this period of change that we're going through. It's very important that we not dumb ourselves down by being ignorant. So just making people aware that things exist. Hang Up is an important film. And that's Marky Bay. It's not a very good film at all. and I'm not sure what the story is, why it's not been made available. But my understanding is Warner Brothers produced it, but it was such a failure. They sold the rights to Dimension Pictures, and now there are no contracts. That's my understanding. There are a few movies like that, um, where paperwork isn't adequate enough to justify the release. So Save the Children is one of those movies. Stop, which is not really a black film, but it's Bill Gunn's first film. They have the film available, but there's no paperwork that allows them to distribute it, and Warner Brothers owns it. So, but you want things to be available than not, because you can see what happens when everything is sort of just in one place. The studios, I was reading about the Universal Vault Fire, how much material was lost in that vault fire at Universal Studios lot. Original recordings of a lot of great music are never to be heard again because it was not made available. You know, um, how often do I do these? I just decided to do a live today because I was on the. I had some a friend had asked me to speak to a class through Skype, and the lighting was good, so I said let me just do it, and get the karmic debt off, because a lot of the stuff that I shared was sent to me for free with the understanding that I would talk about it. So that takes takes it's a big pile on the floor, but it takes a weight off my chest. Uh, Thank you, Cosmo. Thank you for just modding, and thanks everybody for hanging in. And we're winding it down, Eric. So I don't know what the buffering is. If it's breaking up, I mean, I have nothing else running in here, and but I don't have it's Wi-Fi though, so it could be chunky, and I apologize for that. But yeah, this was an experiment. It's been a while since we've done one, and it's good practice to see how this works, because I'm trying to get some people to call in and engage as well, because it seems like it's gonna be a while before society is fully activated. We have a lot of we're benefiting, but there are a lot of people that need more attention. So I want to bring that, try and get some authors on and have some conversations, not just me talking for an hour. Lady Tamara, I appreciate the love. I appreciate everybody's love and support. And you know, it's nice when things come together. Blackjack from '78. That's There's a guy in France. He has a list. He seems to have everything, and blackjack is the one thing he can't find. He sent me his Desert Island disc. Soul Cinema .fr. If you go there on Instagram, he's got a huge archive of information and photos and things. There are a few movies that have fallen through the cracks. King Solomon, there's a trailer up, but there's no full movie. The big one I want to see is The Limit with the Yaphet Kotto. He directed it and starred. Uh, that seems to be missing in action. And It's Your Thing with the Isley Brothers live at Yankee Stadium. The soundtrack came out a couple years ago as a stream on Spotify, and it was available on vinyl years ago. But the film itself, I think, is owned by T-Neck, and then who knows what iteration that exists if there's still a print. So, um, but things turn up every day, and then the more conversation we have, the more likely somebody might share it with me. Then I can find ways to share it with you. But um, black people are making their own animation. Bruce Smith, was that Eric Beasley? I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but the Academy Award for Best Animated Short this year, 2020, was won by black filmmakers. It may be considered an anomaly, But Matthew Cherry, who is a friend of the show and got came up doing independent films and now works in the industry directing for TV and working with Jordan Peele. He went back. He pulled the best animators available. You had Bruce Smith, who worked on The Princess and the Frog and Baby's Kids and all that, and a bunch of other people worked together, and they made this movie. They turned it into. I can grab that one very easily. Here, love. So there's one of those. If you build it, they will come. You had an idea for to do an animated film about a father doing his kid's hair for the first time, and he raised all the majority of the money he raised on um, Kickstarter, and they turned into a book, and then they made a movie. Sony picked it up, 3D animation. Sony picked it up, and then it ended up not only being nominated but winning the Academy Award. So if that does nothing else, it should inspire people to do more of it. So we're getting recognition, and there are lots of, but it's a difficult medium to work in because of the time and the cost. But also Justin Richburg, who's been on the show, he has been developing his animation craft, and he's got a big announcement to make soon. And he was involved in the making of the Childish Gambino music video that was fully animated last year. So, you know, I'm at this point where my general statement is I don't know if we need more of anything. We just need better. And then if we can raise the bar on this, then we have a more lasting presence because um, we're in a world now where we don't necessarily have as much physical available to us as much as what our memories are. So we have to be creating memorable experiences for one another in order to have lasting value. If you're just making things for the sake of making it, there's no monument anymore to prove that it exists. It only exists in your head, because everything is going virtual and streaming. So the proof is how many people remember it. So we have to make things better. Um, yeah, King Solomon. There's a trailer on YouTube, but the film, a lot of these movies from the '70s, they only had 10 prints made, if that. If they weren't released by big distributors, they literally made 8 copies of it, and they just floated that around. And then if you were really independent and you owned your film and you forgot to pay the lab bill, then the lab would throw it away. Or if the lab closed, a lot of movies that we're seeing now are being discovered because DuArt in New York went out of business, and they were the home for a lot of independent filmmakers. So people have been going in. They had a whole. They said, "Well, before we throw this out, come take a look at it." And these people literally rescued the negative for Spike Lee's student film. They literally rescued the negative for Cane River, which was the guy who did Sasha Jenkins, his father, made a feature film and then died the next year. And they found that negative and they restored it. So you know, um, that's how things are seeing the light of day now. People going through and talking to labs, or the big bins where they would just dump all the release prints when they were done circulating them and finding them, and then trying to find ways to restore them. But then rights still become an issue. If you can't find the right person, you can't really officially release it. Um, together for days. They may have made more progress on it, but my understanding is Michael Schultz's first film, Sam Jackson's first film. Woody King is in it. For years, nobody had a copy, apparently, because the financier died and he controlled it. And then somehow they found the negative of the film, but they don't have the audio. So you have half of a movie. You really can't do much with it. Uh, those are the stories of preservation of films from the 70s, and also not counting how many films have turned to pink, you know, just because the film chemistry over time would deteriorate. So now we're at a point where everybody's shooting everything, but nothing is designed to last. Like I had my iPhone fall into some water and it was done. There was nothing you could do with it. You pay somebody a fortune to get all your photos back, or you just be like, so, we all have hard drives or DVDs or CDs we can't get to play anymore. And I think, our preservation is really about replication. It's not just having one master that exists, but because it's digital, put it in, if you have anything, put it in as many places as possible. And then, you're more assured that it won't get lost forever because, it's literally, if you get one little nick in the file, one little bit that's corrupted, you can't play the whole thing. It's not like film where if it got jammed in the projector, you lose one frame of it. You literally lose the entire thing with if one thing goes wrong, as opposed to, oh, we'll just cut this part out and glue it together. It's completely gone if you don't replicate. Um, yeah, Charles and I we talk all the time. I mean, I've been trying to get him to come on. I think he's very opinionated. He's got a lot of feelings about the political climate, but I think we're still in the midst of it, and I think he just wants to be respectful of because he's in New York. A lot of people are going through a lot of pain, and I think I didn't I didn't want to comment publicly at all. I've just been putting bits of information out there that you can look at and you can assess or use as the foundation for whatever dialogue you're having. But a lot of people are in pain, and the government really has not delivered a solution or an answer that is adequate. So, depending on your perspective, you might not feel it at all, or you might be in the midst of it. Your whole family might be suffering. So, I just don't know if we want to take on a forum from our perspective while people are suffering. But we can all look at the past and just see the patterns and maybe use that to gauge what we should or could expect in the future by looking at the past. Um, Animation. Well, good luck, Eric. I mean, do study the history of it. There's a lot of people that are doing it and probably looking for help. So I would do that. Saginaw. Uh, did we get through the end, or did I cut off? Okay, I'm still on. Huh? Well, certain photos are in the cloud that I don't even want in the cloud. It's like the thing about the cloud, they take everything, and there's no discernment. Johnny Tough. Yeah, that's from Charles's print. That's the best you'll find on Johnny Tough. And actually, there's another film he had. Oh, Abby. His print is actually better than the one we put up, but it's not substantially better, and it's still Abby. So, but yeah, you have to show respect to the collectors and the people that are obsessed about preserving things. And then the good part about it is every once in a while a market will open up where you can share it, or the things can be disseminated. So I appreciate the conversation, and I think what did Lady Tamara say that got a heart from Cosmo? Well, I'll co-sign on the heart. Oh, here it is. Oh, from London. Oh, thank you. I'll give you a smile for that. I appreciate the love, and thanks for modding. I mean, this was a good experiment because I want to get some other friends on to share and chat, but it just seems sometimes the air is very polluted. But I also understand that we provide a certain level of conversation that other people aren't necessarily delivering at this point. So, um, thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope some of this information was useful in terms of choices and where and places to find things, making you more aware. Um, and bad mess on the floor. Oh, and Spike Lee, Spike's joint, um, this store. He right now he's signing all these new pressings of things that have never been on Bluetooth before, Blu-ray before. Oh, thank you, Jeffrey. All right, yeah, everybody, yeah, Jeffrey, yeah, makes a good point. Everybody, please be safe. Thank you for the love. Keep spreading love, and just try to don't fill your head with too much of this stuff because it's just some people, their whole job in life is to manipulate the fear that we have, but it also was it you can't be fear and ignorance. You have to eliminate your ignorance as well. So um, the simple solution is just being aware and keeping your hands clean. Avoiding contact whenever possible, but also don't let that control. Don't let the fear control your life. Just understand that things are going to change, um, and the smart people are going to win. That's my whole thing. All right, thanks for your time, and yeah, I'll try and get Charles on next time. And I like the light here, so we'll probably do it during the day. All right, thanks everybody. Peace. Be safe.